It's one of my favorite Rush albums, Grace Under Pressure. I think this album's amazing. There's so many amazing songs on here. Red Sector A, amazing. Distant Early Warning, amazing. After Image, amazing. Like the first three are the best. And then like Kid Gloves is really good. Red Lenses. You can tell this is the 80s version of Rush. A lot of synthesizers on this album. And a lot of people feel mixed about synthesizers, especially older folks, but I love synthesizers. That's just my opinion. It's just really, really good, like in terms of production, in terms of being crisp sounding, in terms of the lyrics as well. Yeah, you could argue that the synthesizers are overused here, but the way Rush, unlike other groups from the 80s, the way they utilized synthesizers with their music was really artsy and authentic sounding to the song. All right, so the Bangles are one of my favorite bands. I think they're an underrated band. I think that they're a contender for the greatest girl band. The two greatest girl bands ever are the Runaways and the Bangles. I can't decide which group is better. They were inspired by the Beatles. I've learned a lot about the Bangles. They had two phenomenal albums. This one, Different Light, and another album called Everything, I think. And those two albums, like this one and the other album, are some of the best albums I've ever heard in my life. And people don't talk about them at all. It's really sad, and I listen to them at work all the time, too. So again, you can see from this cover that it's basically like the cover for the Beatles' A Hard Day's Night, but Walk Like an Egyptian, Walking Down Your Street, In a Different Light, Manic Monday, written by Prince, Let It Go, September Girls. Listen to this album, please. Out of all the albums here, listen to this album. Check it out, guys and chicks. Look at this. Beatles' A Hard Day's Night, and then you got the Bangles' Different Light. Night, light, see? Very inspired by the Beatles. The Bangles deserve more. They are a band that definitely deserves more. And it's annoying that they only play Walk Like a Fucking Egyptian and Manic Fucking Monday, which are both amazing songs, but the girls have other amazing songs too. Damn it. I love the Thompson Twins. I think they're underrated. I think they're one of the best bands of the 1980s. This is a collection of songs it's like remixes of their songs. And it's really fucking good. Dr. Doctor. I love Dr. Dream. I don't think that's on here, but that's my favorite song by them. And the remixes are really catchy too. But when you listen to them quite a bit here, it does kind of make you wish you were listening to the original version. I think I'm going to say I love Zebra, the band Zebra. This is their first album, their debut album, and it's a fucking masterpiece. Like every song on here is amazing. This album blew me away when I heard it, and everyone that knows this band Zebra knows this album is like, it's extremely underrated rock album. It does not get it talked about enough. And I have listened to every Zebra album. Their other albums they're decent, but the first album was like amazing. And I think they're one of those bands that they peaked at their first album, like their first release. Everything that was the best of what they were was like just here on every song. And it's not like other bands where like their best material is stretched out from album to album to album. Here it's all here on their first album. Rush, Signals. This is a great album. Subdivisions I love, The Analog Kid, Losing It, Countdown. I fucking love the song Subdivisions. And this cover is terrible. I mean, really? I get it. Signals, okay. Does this have to be the cover? Like, seriously? I thought you guys were a deep band, not like with the jokes. I really like Duran Duran. I think they're one of the best bands of the 80s. Girls on Film is great. Planet Earth, I really like. Anyone Out There? Is This Something I Should Know? Sound of Thunder, Friends of Mine. Really good. This is the soundtrack to Rocky 3, which is, I think it's probably the best Rocky soundtrack. The reason I got this is because, I was bored and I was interested, and I'm a huge Rocky fan. And this is the movie, this is the soundtrack that first gave us Eye of the Tiger. After Parliament Funkadelic disbanded in the late 70s, George Clinton continued with the P-Funk All-Stars, basically renaming the name of the band and them getting new members and him still making funk albums in the 80s. And this is one of his albums called Urban Dance Floor Gorillas. I think the back of this album is pretty interesting looking. It's like they had all these concepts for artwork that they were drawing for this cover, but instead of organizing them all and putting it on the front and all that, they were just really lazy and they just they just separated it all and just threw it on the back. Like, really? Really, guys? This is an extremely catchy album. It's one of the funkiest albums I've ever heard in my life. Generator pop. Oh my God. Acupuncture kind of sucks. One of Those Summers is great. Catch a Keeper is great. It's a sequel to Atomic Dog, where it's like swapped around. Like in Atomic Dog, the song was always like sexually symbolic of like guys being dogs and catching the cat or, the pussy or the girl. Catch a Keeper is like reversed, where it's like it's the chick in the song and she's talking about catching the dog catcher. Pumping It Up is great. Copycat. This album is called Dope Dogs. This has great stuff on it, and it's also got some garbage on it. Dog Star is good. Follow the Leader is pretty good, I think. So it's not as good as the other album. This is a decent album. Young MC. Okay, so now we're getting into the late 80s. Stone Cold Rhymin'. Young MC, he was around in the late 80s, early 90s. I think this is his first album. I don't think he had too many albums. This is a really, really good album. And it has a song that everyone knows on here called Bust a Move. If you go on YouTube and look up that song Bust a Move, you've heard it like a million times, like in movies and... Rolling Stones Undercover. I love this album. This is a great album. This is when they started getting really 80s popish instead of what they were in the 70s. It's really fucking good. Like, She Was Hot, Undercover of the Night, Too Much Blood is a masterpiece, Pretty Beat Up is a masterpiece. Boston, Third Stage. This is their third album, the 1980s. I always loved this ship. From the side, it looks like a cathedral. I actually would say this is a pretty underrated album, because the longer I keep listening to it and re-listening to it, like nowadays, it's really fucking good. Amanda is great. We're Ready, The Launch, Cool the Engines is great. My Destination's really good, To Be a Man. So, Crowded House is one of my favorite bands of all time. I think they were amazing. I think they're underrated. But they are Illuminati. This band is total. You see the pyramid here? Shining at the top. It's all over the curtain. Here he's like the fallen angel or whatever. Ignoring all that, they are a fucking great band. They had 3 albums, okay? And pretty much each one of them are a masterpiece. I can't even begin to talk about like how much I love every song on this album. I would be here for like another hour, and I don't want to do that. But Don't Dream It's Over, amazing. Can't Carry On, amazing. Hole in the River, amazing. Love You to the Day I Die, amazing. The World Where You Live, amazing. Oh my God. I'm a huge fan of George Harrison. I think he's one of the greatest guitarists. This is an album he made in the 1980s. Really cool looking album cover. The shine on his glasses makes it look like cool and like mysterious. This is George still trying his best to come out with material in his old age, and he delivers. This is a great album. There's stuff on here that's, but a lot of stuff on here that's really great. Cloud 9, I love the song Cloud 9. Fish in the Sand is different, is decent. This Is Love. When We Were Was Fab is great. The main reason I bought this album was because of the song Cloud 9, which I love.